Hello, third graders. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. Today, I will be bringing you your social studies lesson. Today's social studies lesson is about Berkeley. Berkeley is a town located in the East Bay, San Francisco area, and it is about a 45-minute to an hour drive from here in Mountain View. I'd like to read this chapter. How Berkeley Changed. Today, Berkeley, California is a busy city on the San Francisco Bay. More than 120,000 people live there. Over 38,000 students go to its university. But this place was not always so busy. How did it change through the years? In March 2016, a construction crew was digging up the ground near a parking lot in Berkeley. Suddenly, a worker turned over piles of shells and bones. Scientists were quickly called in. They announced that this land had been a burial ground over 3,000 years ago. Since the 1920s, scientists have been digging and studying mounds that the Ohlone Indians made. The mounds are hills that were formed from discarded clam and oyster shells, tools, and bones. How many of the Ohlone mounds are covered by roads, train tracks, and parking lots? Now many of them are covered. The Ohlone Indians. Nature was generous to the Ohlone people. There were plenty of tall grasses and tree branches to make cone-shaped thatched houses. There were more than enough rabbits, deer, birds, and shellfish to eat. Today we can see some of the ways the Ohlone changed the land. Their shell mounds are one example. We also can see rocks that were worn down by the Ohlone. Women who ground acorns into flour-like meal. When Spanish people arrived in the late 1700s, they changed the lives of the Ohlone. The Spanish brought their missions, cattle, and plans to make the Indians into Spanish citizens. They also carried diseases that the Indians could not fight. The Peralta Ranch. Louis Peralta arrived in California in the 1770s. He would be a soldier at missions around San Francisco for 40 years. As a reward for his service, Peralta was given 48,000 acres of land. Just so you know, an acre of land is 1/4 mile by 1/4 mile distance, so a square acre. This property became a huge cattle ranch called Rancho San Antonio. A ranch is a large farm where animals are raised. Today, this land is known as Oakland, Alameda, Piedmont, Emeryville, Albany, San Leandro, and Berkeley. Peralta divided his huge ranch among his 4 sons. Each had a booming business by raising cattle. Cattle includes cows and bulls. The Peraltas sold cattle hides to make leather goods. They sold tallow made from animal fat to make soap and candles. The hides and the tallow sailed on ships out of San Francisco. They were sold to people in the eastern United States and Britain. The ranches changed the land in several ways. The Peraltas dug wells to bring in drinking water. They changed the course of streams to get more water for their crops. Cattle ate the natural grasses. The Peralta families also built 16 homes. Louis's son, Domingo, built the first European-style house in Berkeley. It was made of adobe with a tile roof and dirt floor. This house was destroyed in an earthquake in 1868. Another of Domingo's homes was built of wood in the 1930s. It was torn down to build an apartment building. A town grows up. By the 1850s, all of California belonged to the United States instead of Mexico. Many changes started to happen. The huge ranches were divided into smaller farm properties. People arrived from as far away as Germany and Ireland. They wanted a chance to grow crops in good soil. New transportation brought changes too. Stagecoaches rode along the shore. Around 1859, William Bowen opened an inn to feed travelers. Later, he turned it into Berkeley's first grocery store. In 1877, the Southern Pacific Railroad ran trains through Berkeley. Good transportation encouraged factories to open. They made things from soap to pocket watches. The university. In 1857, Orrin Simmons sold his farm in Berkeley. Two men offered him $35,000. They wanted to move the College of California from Oakland. In 1868, the school name changed to the University of California, so it's called UC Berkeley. You probably have heard. By the fall of 1873, buildings had been built and classes had begun. The neighborhood changed. A hotel, laundry, and stores sprang up. The university became famous for its free speech movement of the 1960s. In 1964, students were not allowed to pass out flyers that expressed their opinions. The students had a sit-in, where they refused to leave one of the buildings. Nearly 800 students were arrested. Finally, the school eased its rules about free speech. These students took pride in bringing about change. Still today, people of Berkeley work hard to bring good changes to their community. I would like you to probably have to review what I just read, because your next assignment would be to fill out a timeline and create a timeline for the community of Berkeley. It starts all the way in the 1600s and goes all the way up to our current time in 2000. I hope you enjoyed this social studies lesson. Don't forget to fill out your timeline. Thank you.